I don't doubt the aspirations of all parents in relation to their children. But I mean all parents. What we've been able to do is to make sure we release the funding to ensure that our state secondary schools have the teachers they need. And there's no point the party opposite pretending that they're interested in state education when they left them without the teaching they needed.
Dr. Lear-Jegvold.
Thank you, Mr.
You have never witnessed this kind of moment before. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, was publicly humiliated and branded dishonest in Parliament for making a claim that sounded absurd. It was something MPs could hardly imagine in their wildest thoughts that Starmer would actually say and then attempt to justify. Yet, when he delivered the most shameful falsehood, members of the House lost all restraint, unleashing a flood of the harshest remarks Starmer had ever faced. The Speaker was compelled to rise, leaving Starmer uneasy about what action might follow. But what exactly did Starmer declare that revealed his ability to present lies as though they were unquestionable facts? In this video, let's uncover the entire incident. Occasionally, politicians utter deceptions so blatant they leave people stunned. They are so raw and outrageous that listeners lose the words to respond, reacting only with disbelief at the nerve of the Speaker. That very scene unfolded in the British Parliament when the discussion turned to Starmer's proposal of adding a new levy on private school tuition fees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. St Hilda's Girls' School looks set to join Emmanuel Jewish Prep as the second school in Bushey alone forced to close because of Labour's VAT hike. This is a double hit to aspiration. First, the parents, many of whom not wealthy, who have described the significant sacrifices they have made to send their children to these schools. And secondly, to the excellent local state schools, including the one that I attended, which simply do not have the places, meaning this policy won't even save money. So may I therefore urge the Prime Minister, even at this late stage, to look again at the failures in this policy.
Even before Starmer spoke at PMQs, a private school in his own constituency had declared it was closing because of his VAT proposal. The girls' school in Camden, part of Starmer's Holborn and St Pancras seat, openly blamed Labour's VAT levy and national insurance rise for destroying its financial stability. The school's management directly accused Labour's reckless taxation, leaving no room for Starmer to deny responsibility. And it isn't just one institution. 12 independent schools have already shut down, explicitly linking their closure to Labour's VAT drive. Records reveal at least 77 fee-paying schools in England have folded since Labour first floated the idea, with many more predicted to follow. The trend is unmistakable. Small and mid-tier independent schools, particularly those beyond London and the South East, are buckling under Labour's tax burden. Parents can't absorb the sudden price surge, enrollments are falling rapidly, and schools are closing their gates. And where are those displaced pupils sent? Straight into the already overstretched state education sector, which lacks enough places to absorb them. When Labour initially promoted their VAT policy, they argued it would generate £1.8 billion for public education. That money, Starmer insisted, would recruit new teachers and enhance state schools. On paper, the idea looked promising. In practice, forcing tens of thousands of pupils out of private schools is piling more stress onto the state sector rather than strengthening it. Classrooms are already overcrowded, teachers are already at breaking point, and now Starmer is funneling even more children into a system that is barely functioning. The outcome is fiercer competition for entry to the best state schools. Families who had saved for private education must now scramble for scarce places in high-performing state institutions, driving greater inequality, larger classes, and fewer resources. Starmer argues this measure supports working-class households, yet the real consequence is worsening state schools by cramming thousands more children into already stretched classrooms. With independent schools closing, countless teachers will lose their jobs, while state schools won't be able to absorb them quickly enough to manage the influx of pupils. Still, Starmer cannot grasp that reality because he never endured such policies himself. His personal education history makes his hypocrisy all the more frustrating. When questioned about his own background, Starmer admitted he attended a grammar school in Surrey. And what happened next? That very school turned private while he was enrolled. And how did Starmer respond when confronted with this fact? He said he didn't think he even realized it.
I was a scholarship boy at my school and very proud of it. And I have to ask, what kind of a politician is it that sets out to make it more difficult for schools to offer exactly the kind of scholarships and bursaries that gave him such a crucial leg up in life? And the answer, of course, is Keir Starmer and the opportunity-destroying, aspiration-hating Labour Party. Read about it in my column in the Daily Mail.
So the man who now insists private schooling is an unjust advantage actually attended one himself, yet wants to deny other families the same opportunity. His stance reeks of elitist double standards. He climbed the ladder, then pulled it away from everyone else. Meanwhile, Eton, Harrow and Westminster will remain untouched. The true casualties of Labour's tax scheme aren't the old. They are middle-class parents who sacrifice and save to send their children to modest independent schools, only to be penalised by Starmer's destructive policy.
The Prime Minister's decision to impose VAT on independent schools strips hard-working families of the choice for what is best for their children, while risking job losses for teachers, increasing class sizes, and squeezing state school resources to their absolute limit. With these impending threats, what actions is the Prime Minister taking to mitigate these effects if he is not undertaking an impact assessment to understand them?
Look, I do understand that many parents across the country save hard to be able to send their children to private school because they have aspiration for their children. So does every parent who sends their children to a state school. And the problem we have is we don't have enough teachers in key subjects in our state secondary school. Now, the party opposite may be prepared to tolerate that. I'm not. And that's why we've made this change to fund 6,500 teachers.
That's why we announced this change to fund 6,500 teachers. Before moving ahead, let us ask you, are you enjoying the video? If so, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive updates on the dramatic shifts shaping British politics. Let's continue. Moreover, Labour's tax grab on private schools isn't only unpopular, it could be unlawful. The Independent Schools Council has filed a High Court case against Labour's VAT plan, arguing it breaches the rights of children and parents by disrupting education. At the same time, Labour MPs are becoming restless. Even Rupa Hook, a Labour MP, has cautioned that this measure is too crude and might need to be rolled back. She suggested smaller schools should be exempt from the levy, recognising the harm already caused. Labour may have cornered themselves. If the legal challenge against the VAT succeeds, Starmer will face a humiliating U-turn. And if he refuses, Labour could trigger one of the worst education crises in modern British history. And that's exactly what happened. After the MP urged Starmer to scrap the VAT policy, everyone realised the MP was correct. Starmer's VAT on private schools was damaging education in the harshest way. Observers expected Starmer to deflect or promise to review the matter. Instead, Starmer was thinking along entirely different lines. Perhaps he had chosen to embrace political self-destruction.
I don't doubt the aspirations of all parents in relation to their children. But I mean all parents. What we've been able to do is to make sure we release the funding to ensure that our state secondary schools have the teachers they need. And there's no point the party opposite pretending that they're interested in state education when they left them without the teaching they needed.
Dr. Ray Ball.
Thank you, Mr.
Keir Starmer's political deceit was laid bare in Parliament, and this time, even his own proposals turned against him. The Prime Minister's smug denial of reality was met with a direct challenge from Conservative MPs who could no longer endure his brazen falsehoods. Yes, Starmer claimed, without the slightest proof, that his disputed VAT policy was not driving private schools to shut down. But before the words even left his lips, reality had already disproved him. That's when Victoria Atkins, a Tory frontbencher, reached her limit. She confronted Starmer's falsehood head-on, shouting across the chamber, "That is untrue." The House exploded in uproar. Atkins, of course, was ordered to retract her statement. Parliamentary rules forbid MPs from branding one another liars, no matter how accurate the charge may be. But she merely voiced what everyone was already thinking.
Order. Shh, there is no punchline. I presume something was said that shouldn't have been said. I'm sure the member would like to withdraw what was said, if they've anything about them.
Starmer was exposed to denying plain reality, attempting to gaslight the entire nation into believing his crushing tax measures weren't wrecking the very schools he claimed would adjust. This wasn't just another routine clash in Parliament, this was Starmer's credibility being torn apart. It was more than a poor PMQ's showing for Keir Starmer, it was a moment of reckoning. He was confronted with his own falsehoods, failed policies, and hypocrisy, all broadcast on national television. Yet his arrogance is staggering. Even as schools shut down under his leadership, even as parents struggle with rising fees, even as pupils are forced from their classrooms, he insists nothing is wrong. This is not the leadership Britain deserves. Starmer is showing himself as a disconnected elitist figure, more focused on political games than genuine solutions. And if he doesn't change course soon, this education disaster will define his legacy. His downfall is approaching faster than he realizes, because the one thing the British public despises more than incompetence is dishonesty. And Keir Starmer has now been caught lying to the entire country, with devastating consequences for thousands of families. What do you think? Does Starmer still have the moral authority to remain Britain's Prime Minister? Isn't it true that he is damaging the reputation of the office, betraying the oath he swore? In the comments below, share your views on Starmer's hypocrisy, making decisions against ordinary Britons, then pretending those choices benefit them. Do you want more videos like this? If so, please like, share and subscribe for more updates on British politics and the events reshaping it. Until the next video, stay tuned.